If you have hired closers before, paid them well, and gave them leads to work with, but still, even after you did everything possible in your power, which you thought was the right way to onboard a sales rep, they still churn on you within 90 days without a 2 weeks notice or any reminders or showing any signs, you likely have five main things going wrong in your onboarding process that is making reps want to leave your company and want to work with someone else who has a better onboarding structure. Let me give you some numbers that might make you a bit uncomfortable. The salespeople working for a company on average stays on their sales team for 18 months, but the problem is these are the sales reps which you pay out of your own pocket a salary every single month so that they're working on their leads. But when you're talking about the high ticket remote closers in this day and age, their data shows that most of the reps shown from their offers within 3 months of them working in there, which is less than 90 days. Now, on the surface level, it doesn't really feel like a big problem, but for a sales rep to hit peak performance, it takes them at least a year to 2 years of working with the same company to get the maximum out of whatever outputs they're putting out. So basically, all the reps which you hire in are churning on you before even they get good. And that is costing you money. Now let's think about what that is actually costing you. You spent a week recruiting them, training on your offer, giving them leads, the leads which you paid for, and right when you start getting comfortable and stop micromanaging just for once, they start to bounce. Now from the data which we collected across platforms is a rep churning costs a business owner around $115,000 per rep, which could take into consideration. But money aside for a second, there's bigger problems which a lot of people don't talk about, which is you as a bottleneck. When all your sales reps are churning, guess what happens? You end up booking calls, taking sales calls so that you can close deals so that your business survives. You're back in the trenches, but the problem is you cannot scale a business while you're the one who's selling in the business. You gotta be working outside the business, on the business, if you actually want to scale a business to an exponential level. So now let me show you the 5 reasons why this keeps happening and how you can fix it. Reason number one, you're giving them leads that are never gonna close, even if they tried. This one is painful because it just feels like it's the problem of the rep. They're not closing, their numbers are down, and it feels like they're not just doing their work properly and not making you money. So you assume that the rep is not good enough. But the thing which is actually happening over here is that the leads which you're feeding them is garbage. And no matter how many leads you feed them, if they do not have an intent, it's going to be 10 times harder for them to convert a cold prospect into your paying customer. Because if it was that easy, you would have rather run ads directly to a checkout link and you'd still have customers. But it is not working. And that's the reason why you need closers. Your closers can only close deals if your prospect has at least a little bit of interest or have shown a bit of interest in whatever your solution is, which could be as small as opting into a lead magnet. But a lot of business owners and persons consider the smallest and lightest things like people liking your post, following you as leads, but they're not really classified as leads, they just engaged with you. And that is just one part of it. Now the second part, which is the most important part when it comes to qualification, which is they are actually qualified to buy what we're selling. And when I say financially qualified, I do not mean that they can afford it by funding or financing. They need the ability to pay your program in full if they actually saw the value in what we're selling. Otherwise, it is not really a qualified lead. Now, when you skip this filter, this is what usually happens. Let's say your rep is taking 6 calls per day. 4 of them are unqualified, is not a decision maker, people who cannot afford it, and people who just want to see and learn more on what your product and service is. Now, those calls don't just not close, it is basically draining the energy out of your sales rep and his mental bandwidth, which is fine if you're paying a salary, but if you're only paying a commission on whatever they're selling, it is not really a good way to go about things when it comes to their perspective. So the fix is stop measuring calls based on calls booked, rather start measuring on the qualified calls booked and base the data around that and improve accordingly. Reason 2 is your compensation plan is broken from day one. And this is a bit touchy because most founders think that they're being generous, giving away a percentage of their revenue. But the problem is oftentimes it's not about the percentage which you give them, it's more so about the speed in which they get paid. If a sales rep, especially working on commission only basis, is not getting paid within 7 days, they start overthinking and panicking and start thinking on their mind, is it even worth it? Because they're working on someone else's stream, little to no security whatsoever, and still get paid only 4 weeks after. And on top of that, in most offers, I see the offer owners make them worry about not getting the commission, especially if they have a refund or a chargeback, when especially it was not the rep's fault, the delivery was not up to mark. And these small things turns down the reps by a lot. And the solution is pretty simple. You need to make a system in which the rep can understand what they can make every single week with a 30-second calculation, and start paying rep commissions as soon as humanly possible, and start paying sales commissions as soon as humanly possible, which would increase the retention of your sales reps. Reason number 3, they do not onboard a rep properly. Here's what most founders do. As soon as they onboard a rep, they send them Loom links, SOPs, and links, and just say, watch this. That's not really onboarding. You're basically abandoning them. The first 2 weeks, a rep coming into an offer determines everything. If a rep feels lost, confused, or unsupported for the first 14 days, then they're mentally clocked out from working with you for a long period of time. They might stick around with you for the paycheck, but there's no way they're bought into your vision. This is the fix. The first 48 hours of onboarding should be structured in a way where they get all the SOPs, all the assets which they require, all the training materials they should go over, and all the expectations that they should meet. But also, you should personally have a call with them so that they feel like they are welcomed in a new family or a new offer, because it's the smallest things that makes the biggest difference and makes your employees want to stay with you on the longer run. And if you don't have this mapped out, then they're going to find another founder who has it mapped out and perfectly sequenced. Reason number 4, they had no leadership, they just had monitoring. There's a difference between managing a rep and leading a rep. Most people are just managing, checking their dashboards, telling them their close rate is down, close more deals, when they don't even know what is causing them to close lesser deals. But leadership, on the other hand, is actually getting on a call with them and making them understand their mistakes and make them not repeat it, and repeat it in training as much times as they want, so that when they're in action, they do not do it and you're making as much money as possible. And one thing which you gotta understand is no sales rep who's working a sales rep, especially on commission, is trying to take calls and just wing it and not close the deal. If they know they could close the deal, they would close it. And the reason why they are not closing the deals is because they don't know that they're making a mistake. And it's your responsibility, either you or your sales manager, hopping on daily or multiple calls per week just to ensure that they're perfect and making no mistakes by reviewing their calls. And in short, most reps don't quit companies, they quit the people managing them. Reason number 5, there is no upside beyond the paycheck. This is massive. The top salespeople, they don't just want the paycheck, they also want a level of growth in the company. If your rep looks at the company and think, okay, I can close deals for the next year, and then what happens? If they ask that to themselves, they're already shopping for better opportunities where they know there's a step ahead of them and they can actually step up. For example, the best reps always want to be directors, they want to be managers, they want to be business partners, or even have equity in the company they're working for at. If you cannot provide them a step forward and whatever they're making right now, maybe not instantly, and maybe not easily, and maybe not both, but if you are not constantly trying to push them to get better for themselves, they're not going to want to work for you. It's simple as that. And on the other hand, they're still shopping and they would find someone else who would actually care for them, give them opportunity for them to grow their income. Now that is the 5 main things that causes a rep to churn from your business. Now, applying and implementing all these 5 things might be hard, but it's not impossible. But there is one more way around it where you don't really have to worry about losing a lot of money, especially when a rep churn, which is if you have a constant supply of talent coming into your business every single day, but also they're trained instantly, maybe ramped up within 1 or 2 days and maximum within 3 days, you wouldn't have an opportunity cost of losing money on the leads which you give them. And that is exactly what we do. We hire, train, and manage sales reps on an ongoing basis so that the businesses which works with us can constantly scale exponentially and really rapidly. So if you have sales reps or want to get more sales reps and scale your business and potentially get something, book a call with me where we can see what the main bottlenecks are for your sales team and potentially see if we can help you fix it.